Hi, my name's June. Welcome to my channel. I am going to be reviewing a film I just watched today, which is Ready Player One. Generally speaking, just straight out the gate, this will be a bit spoilerish, so I will mention spoilers in this review. I don't typically do this, but in this case I feel I need to because otherwise I won't really be able to give a full opinion on it. So this here's your warning, there will be spoilers. If you haven't seen the film and intend to do so, I would suggest you click away, watch this video after you've seen the film yourself. By the way, if you have been wondering about this line here, it's not that I'm a slob or anything. It's just, this is just the print. My brother printed this shirt for my stag do, my bachelor party, whatever you call it, where you're from. Just before my wedding, and he printed this t-shirt himself at home, and this is just a wee smudge that happened during the printing, in case you have been wondering. I know I'm the kind of person, if I see a video like this, and I would notice something like that. So if you were wondering about that, now you know it's just a smudge that happened during the printing. Anyway, so Ready Player One. I know that it's based on a book. I haven't read the book, I must say. I do hope the book is better, or that they changed a lot in the film so that it works more in the book. I'm not quite sure. Probably the most obvious thing to talk about are the visuals. It's a very visual film, of course. If you don't know, the film is about a near future where humanity is spending most of their time online in a virtual world. So all their interactions, their hobbies, etc., they're in a fully virtual world where they're on a track machine, so they can actually run around in real life, just staying where they are. It's like a big treadmill, but it goes in every direction. They've got obviously the virtual reality goggles or whatever sight on, and gloves, etc., so that they can feel. So it's all very integrated. As you can imagine, obviously the film is about the real versus digital, and people being connected, all these kind of things. And that is generally something that I'm very interested in. I just don't like the way the film goes. It's really weird, but back to the visuals, I'll do that first. So the visuals, it's done very well. I like the CGI. At times I wasn't quite sure, I mean, they are in a virtual world, so it's supposed to not be quite real, but I still felt that some of the CGI was better than others, so to me at least, it felt like they didn't spend equal time on every single effect or characters. But I would say that's pretty much all that this film has got going for it, in my opinion. Another thing, I know that my reviews until now, they've actually been very positive, and that was just purely by chance. It's just the films that I saw at the time and I was talking about. So this is the first film that I wasn't too impressed by. My mother will be happy because she asked me about this. She said, but you have to do reviews about films that you didn't like, because that's a lot more interesting. So Mum, if you are watching, and I know you do, my mum's a big fan of my channel. I'm very proud of that. So this review is for you. I wasn't quite happy with this film. My main issue is the story, because it was incredibly predictable. Most of the things, you just see them all coming just before they happen, and you know exactly what the characters are going to do, although they shouldn't, and these kind of things. The film was made by Steven Spielberg. I'm not sure how much he was involved in the story, and again, I'm not sure if this is just basically the story taken from the book, or whether they took a lot of liberties with it. But the basic story is, and again, there will be spoilers, what happened was the creator of this world, they call it the Oasis, he died, and when he died, he left what you call in gaming an Easter egg. So it's something that's hidden away, and it's difficult to find. And in this case, the special thing are the keys to this virtual world. They have to find 3 actual keys in it, and when they do, they get access to the so-called Easter egg. With that, they get the rights to the company and all sorts of things. Anyway, so the story is that, and you've got this one guy. He's this kid. He's lost his parents. He's a nerd. He knows the guy who died, who created all this. He knows so much about him, which is one of my issues. It's like the story is about the one guy who knows every single detail, and I know you get geeks who know a lot about certain topics, but it feels quite ridiculous because they have this archive of every single moment of this guy's life, and the main character, he knows everything by heart. He knows every single word that he's said when he says it. To me, that felt a bit too much because when I think, I don't know how old he's supposed to be, but I'm assuming he's supposed to be 18, 19, maybe something like that. At that point in life, to know so much about one other person, it didn't feel very realistic to me. So, I mean, okay, it's a film, it's not supposed to be real, etc., etc., but that, to me, was a bit weird. Anyway, so he and everyone else for, I think, 5 years, they've been looking for these keys and no one's had any luck. He's got his best friend, and then he meets this other character who is seemingly in this world is a big name, a big gamer, streamer, whatnot, and they all end up working together to get these artifacts, these keys, etc. So they're looking for this, and obviously you have a big bad corporation who is also looking for this because they want to take over the whole thing and they want to have absolute power. That's a story that's obviously very well known. It's been used a lot in all sorts of media. That's where it just became boring for me, really, because that we've seen it a lot of time. The way the story was written and that, it felt to me like a film, like how films were typically made about 20 years ago, story-wise, which is probably a weird thing to say, but that's how I felt anyway. So you've got this battle going on, and then at some point they find out who, because they're all avatars in the game, so you don't know the real names, etc. And that's one of the first really stupid scenes, in my opinion, because the people who are in this world, they know it all, and they know that they have got anonymity, and their data is known, the names, etc. So you've got the main character and you've got this Twitch streamer, like I mentioned before. They've only known each other for a short time, and he immediately falls into love with her. It didn't feel very real, very earned, deserved, whatever. And so he even tells her his real name, although at this point they're already both celebrities because they've gotten the first of the 3 keys. They know, of course, that this company wants to have these keys and the data, etc. So they know that they'll probably be monitored and whatnot. And so he just blurts out his name and everything, and you've got one guy sitting there surveilling them, listening to what they're saying, and it takes off from there. Again, I feel that that's very stupid because the main character, he's very intelligent, so it doesn't seem like he would be the guy to actually stumble into this really simple error. They have the real name, they find them quite quickly. Obviously, I mean, everyone's transparent online, etc., so they can easily trace him back because they've got his name, they've got his first name, and so they search their database and they know of this full bodysuit that he bought, so they just cross-reference that and they find him quite quickly. And then it all transfers to the real world, so you've got them hunting him down in the real world as well. And those scenes I did not care for at all. They felt like a film from as I said, 20 years ago or so. It seemed very dated. I think they should have just kept it in the virtual world because that's more exciting. That ultimately is what everyone is there for. You're there to see all this world, this crazy world and that. You don't want to see them driving around in cars in the real world. That looks pretty much just like our world, but maybe a bit more run down with slums, etc. The 5 people that work together in the virtual world, they find each other in the real world, which is also by chance because obviously a virtual world, everyone's spread across the world, but for some weird reason they're all in the same city, close by, so they can find each other very easily. They immediately spot each other, and just the whole gang, it felt so, the characters and everything, it just felt so unnatural to me. You've got all these cliches. One of them is 11-year-old kid, and of course in the game he's this incredibly powerful player, Asian. Another wee cliched thing there. I don't know, to me it didn't work. It really didn't work. So all these crossover things with the real world, I didn't really feel excited by them. And so the story continues and they find all the keys and that. You've got all these pop culture references, which are great. I mean, they end up being in The Shining, and you've got the Overlook Hotel and everything, and the blood coming out of the elevator, all these great things. which I enjoyed. I enjoyed all these pop culture references, but that's pretty much all it was. So they continue, and there's a big battle at the end, and they've got this, one guy has got this artifact that projects a huge wall that they can't penetrate, which they then hack, because of course everyone can hack everything, as usually happens in these films. That's one of the things. The character who found this artifact, he's sort of a mercenary or something. He works for the big evil boss. He's got a big mean-looking character. I don't actually know if it's a reference to something. I didn't recognise it. Then he obviously talks as he always does, and you can see it's just a big nerd, so everything he says turns out to be funny, because, I mean, I'm not sure if it was intentionally funny or not. It was funny to me because I couldn't take him serious, because he's just talking all this bad guy talk, and he's obviously got a lot of hubris, so he's supposed to be that kind of nerd who thinks he's better than anyone else, and that clearly comes through. And obviously the big corporate guy, he obviously is not a gamer, and his avatar looks like basically a Superman in a business suit with an evil look, of course. And he isn't a gamer, and he wants to take everything away, but that doesn't stop him from having a mecha Godzilla that he uses in the game to kill all these people, which didn't work for me either, because if he doesn't like the world and he doesn't like that stuff, why is he able to do it, and how does he know so much about it? Anyway, it didn't go together for me. And then that was probably the most ridiculous thing, I think, because he's got this bomb that he sets off that kills everyone in the whole world, and it's supposed to reset the whole thing. But of course our main character survives because one guy gave him a quarter at the start, and this quarter on the back side it says extra life, and he's got an extra life. I mean, they explain later that it was a guy who was involved in the company at the very start, so you could say, okay, this is a special thing, but to me that felt really cheap. I didn't really like that, and so he manages to get the last key, and then it's all about he gets the company, but he says, no, I'm not going to sign the contract because that's wrong, that's not what the original creator wanted to do. And so he doesn't do that, and then they end up back in the real world, and there he does sign the contract. So why does it work all of a sudden for him? Why does it make sense? I don't know. To me, that was very contradicting with that. And of course, in the very end, he says they took over the company, the 5 of them, including the 11-year-old kid. And they changed various things, and amongst some they change it so that every Tuesday and Thursday, I think it was, the whole thing is offline, so people have to interact in the real world. So that to me as well, I didn't like that, because only the real world is real. That's what they actually say in the film. Well, duh, yeah, of course, but that's not why I watched this film. I don't want to be lectured about being real in the real world. You should switch off the digital thing and do this. To me, it really doesn't work. So the whole story in that, apart from being able to see everything coming, it was so predictable, and to me it felt very unimaginative for such an imaginative concept. So I think what they should have done instead, they should have left out this whole quest with getting the keys and getting access to the thing. They could have done a sort of Ghost in the Shell type story where they're talking about what is real, what isn't real, humanity, the human condition, how relationships are. Fine, if that's not in the book, then okay. But I'm just saying what I would rather have seen. So they should have explored these kind of things. What do people actually do? Because I thought that was what was going to be happening more of in this film, and not just being your typical quests. We have to get there to get this, to do that, or prevent this, whatever. Because that story, you could have taken it anywhere. You could have done all sorts of things. It could have been big in scale, it could have been small. You could have had more films branching off from it and keep staying interesting and relevant. Because obviously that's something that film studios nowadays want. They all want their big franchises. That would have been something with great potential. But now I feel that that's gone with this story, definitely. And as far as I know, it didn't earn enough money to even be considered for sequels, etc. Although I don't know how they would do it with the story, but that's another topic. So in total, I do recommend seeing it. If you enjoy the pop culture references, there are many great scenes and characters. Like I say, the digital stuff is done very well, generally, so the effects are very good. But yeah, if you just want a film, an entertaining film for a lazy Sunday afternoon, I would enjoy this film. Otherwise, I don't really see a need to have seen it. Don't expect a huge breathtaking experience in that. Or maybe you're I don't know, maybe it's completely different for you. I don't know. Hopefully. Anyway, yeah, if you feel like discussing this film, please leave your comments down below, or tell me why I'm wrong if you want to. Why not? I enjoy a good discussion as long as it's in a good, friendly manner. And if you like this video, please feel free to like it and subscribe to the channel for more videos. I'll see you next time. Take care.